and welcome back to episode 5 of the DRS show. Joining me today again will be Dan Nadil and Rahul Arote. So, guys, it's been a while since we recorded our last podcast. What's been happening in the cricket world?
A lot of exciting cricket, I would say. I think we did our last podcast before the World Test Championship. So the World Test Championship has happened. A lot of bilateral series has happened. India, West Indies, Australia, South Africa. Asia Cup has happened, where India has destroyed all their counterparts. And we are looking forward. We are looking nice and steady for the World Cup. And also congratulations to Team India, who is now number one in all three formats, Test, T20, ODI. So it's a big achievement. So kudos to them. What about you,
It's a,
Dan?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things have happened, but I think there is one thing that's probably going to be the most important news of the year. That is Bumrah coming back from injury. That is probably the biggest news. And hopefully we'll see in the World Cup how that's going to pan out. But also I wanted to check in with you. Our cricket season in Ireland is also over. How has been the season for you guys?
I think mine was pretty good. We'll start with the lower divisions. So, I did much better than last year. Last year, I had a grand total of, I think, 42 runs in about 8 games. Pretty bad form. Luckily, start of this year, I managed to find that form back, and I scored, I think, 1 run more than I scored in my 2021 season. So, a total of 177 runs, I think, in 8 matches, 9 matches. So, I'm pretty happy. I scored my highest runs ever of 71 runs. So, I think it was a pretty good season for me. How about you guys?
Yeah, you seem to be in
It
good
wasn't
nick as well.
it wasn't that great season for me. Like last season, I had 27 wickets. This season, I had 16 wickets. But if I talk about my bowling, then I'm pretty happy with what I've done this season because I've learned a lot. Like if you ask me, like if you like I say, wickets are not the the parameter to judge what how your season is as a bowler or like what. So the thing is, like, I learned a lot this season with my skills in swing, outswing. Like I've been using my slower ones like really well. Yorkers, like Yorkers were on the money this season. So in that term, my season was pretty good. Like I'm happy with what I learned this season, and I know I'm a better bowler than what I was last time.
What about
That's
you, Dan?
good.
I
I
heard
think your
you.
length is better.
Dan, I heard you scored a half century this season.
Yes, it
Ooh.
was really, really fun scoring a 50 against 10-year-olds who were too short. So they had 9 fielders. So probably that's my best and my worst innings of the year. But it's good fun. I think I was in good nick initially. The keeping was also going okay. I had a couple of unlucky dismissal up front. Uh, uh, but yeah, it was an average season because I think I missed the second half of the season due to personal reasons. The first half I enjoyed it. I was in good nick. I was feeling better when I was in the middle. But yes, I mean there is lots to learn. There's a long way to go. Sometimes it's actually not about technique. It's actually about headspace. And I think that is something that I want to work on in the beginning of the season next year, so that hopefully I can take the form forward. But interesting season. I scored a 50, but it was a quite easy 50. But then there were a couple of other small innings which I enjoyed more. There was a 20 I scored against a bowler who actually got me in the previous match, and it was good fun to kind of hit him for a couple of fours. So yeah, it's a fun season. But again, you learn a lot, as
Yeah,
Rahul mentioned earlier.
for me personally, the highlight of the season for you then was against Pembroke. I think you remember, like
Did I play Pembroke?
you threw your bat in the air.
Oh my goodness!
When you
Oh
threw your
my
bat.
The talk of
That
goodness!
the
was the
town.
highlight of the season.
Yes,
For those
funny
who
enough.
you can watch the video on Pembroke Cricket Club's channel, it's still there, and you'll know what
Even
we're talking
even the
about.
commentators were discussing about it.
It's kind of funny. I realize so many people were watching that match live, even from people outside our club. I got so many messages after I actually went back to the pavilion. But I think I kind of had uh, rights to be angry, but I think nobody should throw the bats around. I don't recommend it, especially if you have kids around, who see you as a role model. But hey, you know what? Don't tell my mom. She would be happy. But
Right.
hey,
So getting back to cricket now, let's discuss about the Asia Cup first.
real cricket.
The starting game, opening game versus Pakistan. Our batting got dismantled. Their bowling attack. I believe it was Shaheen Afridi masterclass of 4 wickets. There was Haris Rauf with 3 wickets. There was also who was it? I think Naseem Shah who
Naseem
scored the
Shah,
third. Yeah, he took 3 more
three
wickets.
wickets.
Our batting got dismantled. I genuinely thought that we were gone. Like we had no hopes after that match. We got saved by the rains. I will say. Um, and a bit of Hardik Pandya, Nishan Kishan masterclass, to save us from 120 all out. But once that happened, what a comeback, I have to say. What are you guys' thoughts on it?
I think personally, the first game which we're talking about, 266, where we scored, I think we could have won that game. Because if you see the wicket which was used for that game was exactly the same wicket, which produced, what do you say? When India defended against Sri Lanka, 170, that game, it was exactly the same wicket. So even in the toss, if you guys have saw before the toss, the pitch curators were recommending this is a bat first wicket because bowling gets easier under the lights and batting gets really tough. Like the same exactly which we saw against India and Sri Lanka. So I thought 266 was way above par. That wicket was 220. After what I heard from the commentators, we could have easily won that game, I think. Also, if you see in the next game against Pakistan where they got dismantled for 120, I think batting under lights it's way more difficult than Sri Lanka. Like it's unbelievably difficult. So I think we could have won that game. And yeah, I think it was a perfect performance. The first 4 wickets were very quick. उन्होंने हमें हराई दिया था पूरा वहां पे. But Ishan Kishan and Hardik Pandya, they fought back, got us to a respective total. But at the end of the day, हम यही तो देख रहे हैं, like it's not about top 4 or top 3, right? Your middle order also has to contribute, and your lower order as well. Bumrah also scored, I think, 20 odd runs in that game. We had some contribution from, I think, Shardul, if he was playing, I'm not too sure, but yeah, it was a wake up call. But yeah, I was happy with that performance.
Yeah, and I think even when we saw KL Rahul and Virat Kohli masterclass, I was actually really, really hoping that both Rohit and Shubman will get out, right? Because you want your middle order to be tested.
Yeah.
But kind of going back to that Pakistan's first match against Pakistan, I think there is still a problem of that left arm bowlers troubling India's top order. And it's a bit troubling, especially because we still don't have that left arm. I mean, we're not still keen to play a left-hander in the opening slot. I know we did that against Sri Lanka. And kind of going back to that Shastri's famous comment recently on the importance of Shikhar Dhawan, we should change that a little bit for the initial swing bowlers. I don't know if India is missing a trick by not having Ishan Kishan opening. I think they might pick and choose depending on that particular match. But I think, for the first 2 overs, I think Indian right-handers are in a tricky spot. Now, that's not as much as a big impact because thanks to the rise of Hardik Pandya and Jadeja, whose all-round skill has improved so much that I think India has a deeper batting order now. But still, I think Indian top order is still susceptible to the left-arm bowlers, especially Shaheen again under pressure in Modi Stadium. I think that it's worrying, and I think having a left-armer or left-hander there will be really useful in the World Cup. Any thoughts on that? I'm happy with the lineup.
We also did pretty well against Shaheen in the second game. If you see, the approach was different. I know in the first game the approach was miserable with Rohit started off well. Shubman Gill was a bit on the back foot. He wasn't keen on scoring. He wasn't looking keen on scoring runs. But Rohit started off well, and after that rain break, lapse of concentration happens. So Rohit got out. But if you see in the second game, we were dominating Shaheen Afridi. Like Rohit Sharma, I think he scored a 6 of him in his first over, and it was the first time Shaheen Afridi considered a 6 in ODI in the first over. So that was a statement. Like even after then, Shubman Gill, he took over. And if you see, like after 10-15 overs, the Pakistan bowlers were done. They weren't able to take any wickets. They were clueless. And after that, Virat and KL's masterclass, obviously we all know about it. So there's a template. Like if you see, if Pakistan are not able to get wickets in their first 10, then their bowling is pretty much average. Because, and also if the conditions are not favorable, so it's only the matter of avoiding those 5 overs, like playing sensibly. Like if it is full, you don't have to go for the shot, just take a single or just nick it off, or so not nick it off, but just play it down. And if it's a ball to hit, just go for it. It also creates a doubt in bowler's head as well, because he knows like the batsman is not going to defend. I think there was a post-match interview with Shubman Gill, and he said like if it was a loose ball, it was a plan that we will go after it, because even if we were defending, then it gets into bowler's head like the batsman is not going to score, so he can get away even with the loose ball, because you're just going to defend it. So it was a pretty good approach, and I'm pretty happy with Rohit and Gill at top. Ishan, he proved his worth, but like I'm still not convinced him like at the top of the. It's like KL Rahul situation with him. He can come at number 5, him or Surya or Shreyas, but yeah, like personally, like I'm not a big fan of Ishan opening the game. I'm happy with
you happy with the right-handed top order.
Yeah.
I mean, its quality as well. It's very interestingly, I think, let's say Hardik Pandya's innings there was so good. And I think he's a changed man since the controversy that happened with, Coffee with Karan. And I think the way he actually approaches batting, the way he approaches bowling, the kind of leadership skills that he shows, even if he's not the captain in the 50 overs, is amazing. I think the rise of Jadeja and the rise of Hardik Pandya just allows our top order to bat the way they want. They don't have to defend, so they can stay attacking. And just going back to that Shubman Gill point that you made earlier, I was kind of looking at how he was even coming down the track to Shaheen to negate that swing. And this time not to defend, just kind of take him on. And
Yeah.
I thought that was amazing. And once you do that, you kind of cut off Shaheen's less strength, which is kind of bring it back in. So that was great to see.
Yeah, it
Because
just
Gill
goes to
has all
show.
the shots in the book. Oh, sorry. Like I was mentioning, like Gill has all the shots in the book. Like you're talking about that swing thing. Gill's foot movement is not as strong, but his hand-eye coordination is really well. So like that helps him to nugget the swing. Like he can just, even the ball on top of stump, he can just go for a cut, and that cut, like I'm a big fan of his cuts, and then the flicks.
Yeah, that
sorry,
one
Rahul.
shot that Gill has, I'm not quite sure what you call it. You can't even call it a cut because, sorry, you can't even call it a pull shot because he hits it down, and that's on his 6 stump, and that's above his I'd say stomach level, and the ball is on the offside, and then he just taps it down, and he swats it. He doesn't even just tap it. That shot is a top tier shot. I don't know what to call it, but I really want to learn it because
Short
it's
arm
safe.
jab.
Short arm jab.
Short arm jab. Yeah.
That's a really good shot, and I have been trying to learn that since I saw it for the first time in the IPL, because it is such a safe shot, and it's at that point where you can't hit it towards the offside. You'll nick it a lot, so instead he just brings that shot in, and that's like most likely going to get you a boundary in every single match. The quicker the bowler, the quicker the ball will go to the boundary. But yeah, Gill has a lot of shots, but then coming back to Pandya's leadership, I'm not sure if you guys heard about it, but like a couple of matches ago, याद नहीं आ रहा कौन सा सीरीज था, उसमें एक कंट्रोवर्सी हुई थी. पांड्या किसी यंगस्टर के साथ बैटिंग कर रहा था. The youngster was on 48 runs and India needed 3 runs to win. Tilak Verma, that's the one. Tilak Verma was on 48 on the non-striker end, and there were 2 balls remaining in the over. There were a couple of overs left. Pandya, what obviously everyone was thinking, Pandya will either defend it or take a run, let Tilak Verma get the strike. He goes for a 6, a very intentional 6 to finish off the game. What are your thoughts about that one?
See, Pandya is a weird character. Like, like he says, it's good to be unique. He, like, I mean, like any sensible person would have defended it and एक run ले लेता. Like we have seen a lot of examples. विराट ने ऐसा किया हुआ है. Last season भी विराट ने गेल के लिए भी ऐसा किया था. धोनी ने किया था. When they were playing
Yeah.
against South Africa, the T20 game. But I mean, like, yeah, he's a weird character. He should have taken a single, but like as long as Pandya bowling अच्छे से कर रहा है, batting अच्छे से कर रहा है, fielding अच्छे से कर रहा है, मुझे कोई problem नहीं है. It's okay. As long as India जीत रही है, it's nothing. Like, be
Yeah.
unique, man. Like, be unique. It's okay. We'll fight for you.
Like that's a great way to not take pressure, right? By saying
Yeah.
But I think there's nothing malicious about it. We all know that the Pandya brothers are a bit, sunky, as we call it. But I think like these cricketers, right? Like I was kind of looking at Simon's video there. There was a really nice video on Simon's, and he was just calling in a very nice way, in a very positive way, or in a constructive way, saying that Indian cricketers are lazy, right? And as far as they don't take care of their fitness, they won't improve, right? This is like 12, 13 years ago, right? Beginning days of IPL. And he was right about it. I think these kids are so fit. They don't look at numbers. They just want to win. The ball is there. They're going to go for it. They're not here for 50s or 40s. They want to show what skills they have. And Pandya is one of that. And he's Pollard's younger brother in many ways. So he's not going to stay there for somebody else. The ball is there. He's going to go for it. But yeah, I think there's nothing malicious about it. And I think Verma will also understand. But yes, we are all like kids who grew up I'm from the 80s, you're from the 90s, right? We look at cricket in a very different way, but I think these kids look at it differently. I think the ball is there, they're going to go for it. Same thing, Gill as well, right? Could be Shaheen Afridi, just going to step down and, take your point.
Yeah. Like, actually, I'm fine with it. Like, it's okay as long as it's in a winning cause. Like, अगर तुम ऐसे ही देखो तो सचिन को भी 194 पे declare किया ही था ना. It was great Rahul Dravid at the other end. And
yes.
So you can't really 194 is like it वो वहाँ पे अगर वो टाइम सोशल मीडिया होता तो राहुल द्रविड़ को भाई कितना ही बैकलैश मिलता.
फिर भी मिला.
काफी मिला था उसे. आज तक मिल
अभी
रहा है
भी
उसे.
मिल रहा है.
आज तक मिल रहा है अभी जाके. वो टाइम तो भाई रिटायरमेंट ले लेता, कैप्टेंसी से ड्रॉप कर लेता. But yeah,
I think I mean, like it's a sport, and I think there are different ways to play the sport. Of course, if it was me, I would have taken the single. But yeah, I mean, he's there to show his wares. And he's a Pollard type character. Like, he grew. I think probably Pollard is one of his let's say mentors. So yeah, it makes it understandable. If somebody else did it, yes. I think even Virat would have actually taken the single because Virat's leader was Dhoni. Dhoni is a very different type of leader, but for Pandya, comes from the Pollard kind of camp. So yeah, it did not surprise me. I'm not saying it's the right thing. It did not surprise me.
Yeah.
So getting back to the Asia Cup, the finals. Now I have a very strong opinion about the finals. I thought this may have been one of the most disappointing finals in any sport in the past 10-15 years of sports I've been watching. And all the highlights I've seen, I have not seen a final this one-sided in any sport, in fact.
You have clearly not seen India versus Australia 2003 final.
There you go. I was barely born then.
Still breaks my heart, like thinking of that final.
I assume India lost pretty badly there.
They did. It was Gilchrist and Ponting.
Yeah, but not as badly.
Yeah,
it wasn't bad.
They scored like 360 runs in 2003. And India, how much India scored? Like 230 because of courtesy Sehwag's century. But
like that's a decent final. It's not very one-sided as bad.
In 2003, 260 was considered as what 350 is today because of the rules and all.
Scars.
Australia scored 360 runs. 360 in finals. Ponting scored 150, Gilchrist scored 100 or something, and Simon scored some runs. Demolished. And then
लेकिन वो रिकी पॉन्टिंग तो स्प्रिंग वाला बैट से खेल रहा था इसलिए.
हाँ, वो इसका रूमर वो टच कर रहा है. लोग बोले थे लोग बोल रहे थे 250 बनाना होगा तो हम लोग सोचेंगे, वो 360 कैसे बनाएंगे, लोग टेंशन में आ गए थे हाफ टाइम. अभी का होता तो अभी we could have gone for it, but consider like सोचो 2003 में भाई रूल्स, वो पावर प्ले कुछ था नहीं, कैसे भी तुम फील्ड रख सकते हो,
बैट भी अलग था,
बैट
छोटे
भी
छोटे
अलग
बैट
था,
थे.
और प्रेशर, बॉल भी एक ही होता था तो रिवर्स भी करता था, सामने ब्रेकली, मैग्राथ.
Hmm.
बट
Yeah, it was
Yeah, it was
याद क्यों कराते हो भाई?
let's avoid going down that
That's
memory lane.
worked so hard. Yeah. I mean, is it as worse as Bangladesh, India-Bangladesh in 2007? Which is worse? Even that
we
was
lost
very,
that game,
very
we won it,
difficult.
so I can't really compare.
Yeah,
Like,
दोनों भी हार गए थे.
yeah. I mean, it was a disappointing final. Like as a fan, I would say, because 50 all out is a like what you'll say, and even it's in the final, and they're playing at their home ground. They should have batted better. Like सिराज ने प्रेशर किया था, हैट्स ऑफ टू हिम. उसने 2 शुरू के विकेट लिए, उसके बाद तो वो लोग फेक ही रहते विकेट आउटसाइड ऑफ, दे वर जस्ट ट्राइंग टू गिव कैच प्रैक्टिस. लाइक हाँ, बस वो दे रहे थे कि भाई ले लो, विकेट आ रही है. आई एक्सपेक्टेड बेटर फ्रॉम श्रीलंका. मेरे को लगा कि वो एटलीस्ट दे विल पुट अप अ फाइट, स्पेशली लाइक उसके पहले आपने मैच देखा अगेंस्ट पाकिस्तान. व्हाट अ गेम. आई थिंक दैट वाज द गेम ऑफ द टूर्नामेंट.
Yeah. Maybe that the way Sri Lanka acted in the finals leads me to think maybe the Pakistan versus Sri Lanka game was won by them solely because Pakistan bowlers, like, what is the word for it? Motivation or confidence may have dropped after that India game. That's all I can think of, because I don't believe Sri Lanka won that game on their own. But yeah, in terms of the finals, I will have to say Sri Lankan players should be very disappointed. They should look back into what went wrong. Every single thing went wrong. And if I was in their place, मैं सच्ची में सोशल मीडिया खोलता, अपॉलॉजी लिखता अपने फैंस को, एंड उसके बाद कुछ नहीं करता. लाइक अब पूरी टीम को ट्रेनिंग कैंप में डालो, महीना 2 महीना बस ट्रेन करो, फैमिली से भी ना मिलो, because that has to be the most humiliating finals I've ever seen. If this was the World Cup, it would have obviously gained more traction. Sri Lanka would have been a laughing stock for the entire world. But just because this was the Asia Cup, at least if India they have become a laughing stock, maybe in Sri Lanka as well, they've become a laughing stock. But they deserve no sympathy. They need to go train more. Because they weren't trying. It wasn't like they were holding their wicket. They didn't have the mentality. गली क्रिकेट खेल रहे थे. हमारे डिवीजन 12 में इनसे बेहतर मेंटालिटी से खेलते हैं. When Mohammad Siraj has taken 3 wickets in 4 balls, what do you decide to do? You go swing your bat. Your bat should not be more than 90 degrees from the floor. You should be trying to hit the ball down or leaving it when he has taken 3 wickets in 1 over. How are you swinging the bat and giving him his 4th wicket? Not only that, सिराज तुम्हारे सामने रोनाल्डो का सू करता है, उसकी सेम ओवर में तुम फिर से बैट स्विंग कर रहे हो उसके लिए. What are you thinking? Like, there's nothing more humiliating than that. Yeah, it's
Tell you
just.
what I am thinking, Rahul भाई, अगर आप कैप्टन बनोगे ना, मैं शायद क्रिकेट छोड़ दूं. But I think you're right, right? देखो हमारे 2 प्लेयर हैं, right? Who are probably one of our most flamboyant, हार्दिक पांड्या and Ishan Kishan. Under the pump against Pakistan, जब विकेट गए थे, how did they play? Like, अभी like हम लोग बोलते हैं डिसिप्लिन के हिसाब से, यार ये तो बहुत मारने वाले प्लेयर है, डिसिप्लिन नहीं है. Look at the way they've transformed the game under pressure, and look at the way Sri Lanka, which they know that they're playing against 2 of the best new ball bowlers going around. The way they applied themselves was very, very disappointing.
Yeah.
And yes, I mean they have so much talent there, right? And they know they're going to have a tough journey ahead with India and in the World Cup, and they need to fight it out. And they know the conditions, right? Let's say they put up some score after losing 3 wickets, put some score, there's still a chance, right? They have this wonderful leggy. I'm really impressed by him. So there are so much possibility. They just had to put a score after losing 3-4 wickets, and their application was very, very poor. So no, I agree with you, but I don't know about that being away from the family. Right?
No, I think
harsh.
I think they will do good in this World Cup. Like I'm backing them to do really well, because अगर आप देखोगे तो before losing the game against India, not the 51, but prior to that, they had a run of 13 consecutive wins and they lost the 14th one. And final was obviously like, even they didn't want to play like that way. वो Dasun Shanaka ने last में आके बोला, उसने apology की fans को, and they were like, it's not how we play cricket. It's like they don't know really like what happened that day. And उसके बाद ये भी था कि Dasun Shanaka will step down from captaincy, which is good. Like he didn't step down because he's a good leader. And I think कि वो वर्ल्ड कप में खेलेंगे अच्छा. That was just one off game. Obviously they are a solid side. उनके 4 bowlers भी नहीं थे. Like उनका bowling lineup it was not their first bowling lineup. और उसके बावजूद
हसरंगा नहीं था
वो
ना?
नहीं, हसरंगा नहीं था वो. फिर वो एक लेफ्ट आर्मर है चमीरा, दुष्यंत चमीरा, वो भी नहीं था. और एक नहीं था राइट आर्म. फिर वो राजपक्सा उनका बैट्समैन, वो भी नहीं था. फिर आई मीन लाइक उनको होगा, उनको ये मतलब था एक लाइक वेकअप कॉल जैसा था उनके लिए मैच बेसिकली, ये कि दे कांट टेक एनीथिंग लाइटली और दे हैव टू स्टेप अप. बट या आई एम
Now,
बैकिंग.
one thing I will say though, Sri Lanka's 51 came because India was taking the piss for like maybe 10 or 12 runs of that. मजाक का कर रहे थे, 10-12 रन ऐसे दे देता तो their score might have been maybe 36, 30, 38, 39. फिर भी आरसीबी के टोटल से ज्यादा था, बट मे बी कोहली ने थोड़ा सीरियसली लिया होता, वो 36 से पहले कर लेते. But regardless of that, I was watching Patirana. Obviously, I've been a fan of him since I saw him in the IPL. And the way he's bowling, I don't think he's maybe Dhoni. In my opinion is that maybe he should stick to T20s, because if you saw his bowling was aiming for to bait a shot from the batsman. That is, अगर batsman shots के लिए aim कर रहा है, he would mess up that shot to such a good ball, and they would go for a catch. But because there's 50 overs, there's 45 overs after him, क्या कर रहे थे batsmen? They were just leaving, या फिर फेंट कर रहे थे बस. What are your guys' thoughts? Do you reckon Patirana should continue as a ODI player?
I think he should play T20s, but ODIs mein he shouldn't play bilaterals. But I'm happy for him to play World Cups or like big tournaments, Asia Cup or World Cup, because he is their X factor. उसने शुरू में भी I think अफगानिस्तान के सामने उसने विकेट लिए थे. और दसुन शना का उसको वैसे यूज कर रहा था कि वो स्टार्टर नहीं था, उनको फर्स्ट बॉलर नहीं था. बीच में उनको विकेट चाहिए थे आफ्टर 10-15 ओवर्स. देन वो आता था, 2-3 ओवर डालता था, फिर वापस जाता था, वापस बीच में आता था. तो और वो डेथ में उसके 4 ओवर तो थे ही. तो आई एम प्रीटी कन्विंस्ड लाइक उसका रोल क्या है टीम में. बट कंसिडरिंग हिज एक्शन, वो इंजरी प्रोन भी बहुत हो गए. आई एम प्रीटी श्योर डाउन द लाइन he should avoid playing bilaterals. Even Dhoni suggested the same. He should avoid playing more matches like Test or too many ODIs. But I'm happy for him playing T20s and important like ODIs, like tournaments.
He can hold the bat, right? As well.
No, he
He
can't.
can hold the bat. He can't hold the bat.
No. He's like proper
Okay.
number 11, like free
Number
wicket.
11, okay.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I can get the points. If you're looking for that last 4-5 overs, if he's not going to bowl the full spell. But I think in India it's fine because, unlike Sri Lanka, the ball can get older and maybe there's a little bit of reverse swing. Now that again with 2 new balls, that's also tough. But yeah, it makes sense. If they have enough spinners, should be fine. My big prediction, Sri Lanka to win the World Cup this year. They're really, really hurt, right? So they will be really motivated. They won't have as much pressure as other teams. They have all the goods, right? They have a Malinga-like bowler. They're bowlers who can actually swing the new ball. They have a couple of good spinners. Plus, they have backup spinners. They have attacking bats. I think
they
it
have
could
like
be
6 spinners in their 11.
99.
Even
Yes.
batsmen can bowl well. Asalanka, Charit, he took 5 against India. Velalage, Hasranga wasn't there, but even he's a top class bowler. They have like 6 spinners easily in their top 11.
And I think, let's say if they face off India at some critical stage, I think India struggles against leggies. I know recently they've kind of made up for it, but I think, they have a couple of really good leggies. So I think, anyways, I know it's a big thing. My prediction, Sri Lanka will win the World Cup. Mark my words.
I'll be surprised even if they qualify for top 4. I don't think I think they will do well, but they'll be like 7th or 8th because it's a league format kind of a thing. So yeah.
I still think it's going to be a couple of years before Sri Lanka. Maybe you would think they have a chance for top four, because I think this side has a lot of half the team is like not that experienced. You don't have players like Muralidharan or Malinga from that 2011 squad, or Dilshan, all of those batsmen. So I think maybe give this team a couple more years if they can obviously keep going at the rate they're going, get their players into the IPL, get experience from bigger captains. There's a chance I think that Sri Lanka can reach the top four. But until then, this World Cup, I don't rate them to do anything really.
That's what they said in '99.
And also, like, they are playing against India at Wankhede, so it might, like, there might be some assistance for spinners, but I think Wankhede is known for its fast bowling and like bouncy and short boundaries. So I think they will struggle against India there. But yeah, you can never count them out.
Yeah.
They will be the team
I
to watch,
think-
like dark horse. They'll make few upsets.
Yes.
So getting to the World Cup, the squads are all released. The players are all training. Let's begin with let's say the top four. What do you guys think the top four is going to be?
Dan, you want to start? The
Yeah,
controversial top four.
semis. Yes, semis.
Yes, the semis.
You mean
Yeah.
top four?
Yeah.
Semis. So I think it'll be India for sure, given its home condition. I think India's got a solid team. Thanks to Hardik Pandya and Jadeja, because I think we have the balance back which we were lacking in previous World Cups. Sri Lanka, dark horses. I back them. Know the conditions really well. Another controversial one, Bangladesh. Again, it's their condition, man. Like, they have enough spinners, they have a good all-rounder, a match-winning all-rounder. They have pretty good batsmen. So I know it's not a popular thing, but given the condition, I think they're going to put a lot of, let's say, Southern Hemisphere sides in trouble, right? Pakistan. So it's going to be an all-Asian semi-final.
Quite a bold prediction. Before we discuss that, what do you think, Arote? What is your top four?
Yeah. Firstly, I would like to say Bangladesh, they finished above Pakistan in the Asia League because they came third. So valid point. So for me, top four would be India, Australia, England, and Pakistan. I think India will easily make it through to top four. Australia, they always punch above their weight in ICC tournaments. They have a knack of getting through semifinals, like over the time. Like kitna bhi unka weak team ho, they will get to the semifinals. And they also have a quality team. उनमें आज का मैच में देख रहा था 10 बैट्समैन प्रॉपर हिटर्स. पैट कमिंस में लास्ट में आके 7 बॉल 20 रन स्कोर किए. दे हैव लाइक प्रॉपर 10 बैट्समैन एंड एडन झम्पा जो कि विराट कोहली को आउट ही कर देते आके. And England all like same 11 batsmen, 8 bowlers in the same team. They will easily, I think they are one of the contenders to win the World Cup and defend their championship. Fourth is obviously Pakistan. Like I'm not convinced Pakistan will make it to the top four, but I will give it to them. Like home conditions, they will be the entertaining stock in the World Cup. कोई ना कोई टीम हरा देगा, या तो नेदरलैंड्स हरा देगा उनको या बांग्लादेश हरा देगा. They will be the laughing stock, but they will bounce back. And also like New Zealand very closely. I like they missed my top four prediction, but I think New Zealand will, like they always play well in the World Cups. Like they will be like either 5th or 6th with South Africa and New Zealand. But yeah, those four will be my pick.
You said England as well, is it?
Yeah, he said England as well.
Yeah.
It's a pretty interesting choice. I am quite similar, but I would give the edge to New Zealand over Pakistan just because of the Asia Cup. And I feel like Pakistan is a bit down at the moment. And if they come into the first two games with that confidence, maybe I think, the confidence will increase. But what what I think is going to happen is that their confidence is going to be low for the first two games, and then they're going to bounce back. But by then, New Zealand is just going to have the edge over them, is what I believe might happen. But yeah, it's going to be India, Australia, New Zealand, and England for me. And I don't think India is reaching the finals. Um, I want to say the finals is probably going to be between India, England, and Australia, just because both of them have batsmen that can perform throughout, not just 2, 3 batsmen performing per game. But you never know. India could just have that one player scoring a century every single game and get through the finals. But who knows?
I think India will win the cup. I'm picking India. I'm backing them. Like, I think this is our year, and India will, like, they will win the cup. I think I have a strong feeling. मैं जिसको सपोर्ट करता हूँ ना वो जीतता है हमेशा. And this time I think it's India.
और जिसको मैं सपोर्ट करता हूँ वो हारता है हर टाइम. तो अनफॉर्चुनेटली इस टाइम मैं भी इंडिया को सपोर्ट कर रहा हूँ, आप भी इंडिया को सपोर्ट कर रहे हो, तो थोड़ा कैंसल आउट हो सकता है. तो लेट्स सी व्हाट हैपेंस.
श्रीलंका निकल जाएगा बीच में, बांग्लादेश निकल जाएगा.
Sri lifts the World Cup. The most happy will be Dan because he predicted this a long time ago. It's an interesting prediction from Dan. Bangladesh, Sri Lanka reaching the top 4.
I've seen so much cricket in subcontinent, right? It's a different kettle of fish for sides outside of the subcontinent. I'm sure all those 4 spots won't be taken. Either England or Australia is going to squeeze in. I know that, right? But I'm actually quite bullish. Under those conditions, I think Asian sides will do really well. That's a fair point I think you guys make about having that batting depth, right? Let's say if India had batting at 11, Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill will bat so differently. Knowing that our batting is under 7 and 8, we bat slightly differently. So I know that's going to be a very important factor. But I don't know, the bowling skills, even the spin bowling skills in India is very different than what you need in Australia and England. So that's the reason I think, it's going to be, I think either it's going to be a big scoring games or it's going to be low scoring games. And I think, if it's going to be a low scoring tournament, I think Asian teams are going to do really well. If it is going to be a high scoring tournament, I think, let's say Australia and England is going to do well. The interesting bit is it's a long tournament. But as the season goes along, the conditions going to be better for spin bowling. And I think that's why I think when it comes to those crunch matches, I think Asian side is going to do well. I am a bit worried. I know Kuldeep's bowling really well, but I've never been a big fan of Jaddu as a 50-over bowler. Right? I have a little bit of a question mark. So I think we did another spin option, and none of our top order bowl any spin. Like there's no spin bowling all rounders there, apart from Akshar and Jadeja, who are much more flatter. That's a little bit of a worry though. But I think that's the reason I say, it's gonna be spinner friendly eventually, and I think Asian sides probably are gonna have an edge.
Yeah.
And just sorry, Rahul. And Indians play that kind of spin better as well, or let's say Asian sides play those kind of spin better as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Now, in terms of pitches, obviously there is the Ahmedabad pitch, which is entirely a heavily batting pitch. That's Shubman Gill's home ground. Hardik Pandya has done well there as well. So I'm expecting obviously high scoring match, but I obviously give the edge to India. And the finals being is the finals at Motera?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd assume so. How spectacular that stadium is. So if India reaches the finals, maybe we have a chance, because of how much we're used to that pitch. But it'll be interesting to see how it happens. One thing is KL Rahul is doing really well. He's scored a lot of runs, obviously a century, half century, back-to-backs, half centuries. There's a lot of runs coming up in the past 6 months itself. So I will say if he again flops this World Cup, I would say drop him entirely. I know KL Rahul was I would say more responsible for why we won the Asia Cup, but I would rather we lose the Asia Cup and have a better chance in the World Cup by choosing a player who doesn't perform in Asia Cup performance in World Cup than a player who performs in every single ODI series, bilateral series except the World Cup itself. So I think KL Rahul has this place set for himself. He has he has the confidence. He has a lot of runs under his belt. He's played a lot of bowling in the past few months. Well, so the ball's entirely in his court. Let's see how he performs. I'm really interested to see how he does now.
I think KL
He's
will be
young. Come on,
KL,
Rahul. KL is very young.
yeah, I think KL will be India's best batsman alongside Gill for India this World Cup. Like the temperament, the maturity he has shown in the past whatever games he has played. Even today, like we were 142 for 0. Suddenly we were 152 for 4. And he stood up and he played typical KL Rahul, like single, doubles. He managed Surya Kumar at the other end, who is also struggling with the form. And I think that speaks a lot about his personality, the way he's batting, the way he's helping others to improve. So I think alongside Gill, KL will be India's, like these two would be, obviously Virat, you can never count him out. Like he'll always performs in crunch games, but KL and Gill, like I have huge hopes on them. And also like ICC ne bola, like if you're following the news, that 60% the wicket pitch should favor 60% to batsmen and 40% to bowlers. They have advised to put more grass on the wickets, so it won't be rank turners. So every team, even who have like part-time spinners, they will come into play. So that's a big point, like considering, I think if you're playing in Chennai, which is like up 50 में से 40 overs you can bowl to spinners वहाँ पे. So it would be 50-50 even across all the team, but only advantage to India and Pakistan and Asian teams would be like the conditions. Dew कितना आएगा, कैसे ball डालनी है, कैसे batting first करनी है, chase करनी है. I think they would be the best team to assess the conditions.
There was an interesting passage of play with Pakistan when those 2 wickets fell, right? And the fast bowler came in for a burst. And do you remember those 2 pull shot that KL Rahul hit under pressure? Like we had lost 2 wickets against Pakistan. Those were really, good pull shots that shows the level of confidence he has. He's coming from an injury, and he knew that if he doesn't perform, this probably won't be the front runner. And those kind of, those 2 pull shot just, showed that he was kind of ready. I was talking to my friends in Pakistan when the match was on, and I just saw the 2 shot, and I just knew it that it's game over from there. So yeah, I think is in a much better headspace, especially after that injury, etc. I'm just a bit still, let's say we are always worried about balance, right? But let's say you have those top 4, right? Hardik Pandya or Ishan Kishan at 5 and 6, right? Would you prefer, let's say, like how many fast bowlers do we need and how many spinners do we need? That's another question that I think Indian sides has to offer. And should they go with Shami or should they go with Thakur? Because other sides have so much depth. That's a very important question mark that we need to answer. And the top order is set, top 4, Hardik and Ishan, or maybe if not Ishan, maybe Surya Kumar might get a go on an odd game. But what's that bowling balance going to be like? I think that's the big question. Batting looks settled.
I think it will differ from game to game because format change हुआ है. We have to play 10 games. So don't expect कि जो 11 आपका start कर रहे हैं, they will continue to play all the 10 games. Like obviously they will need rest and conditions. So bowling में Bumrah, Siraj and Kuldeep, like these 3, I think they will play most of the games. But it depends. Like if it's a seeming friendly wicket, then I think Shardul might come in, or if it's a spin friendly, then Aksar. But Aksar injured hai, so let's see if he makes it in time, because he's a very handy batter down the order. If not, then I think I will go with Ashwin to replace Aksar because of his street smartness and he can give some crucial runs. But today, आज Shami ने 5 wicket लिए, so I think if the wicket is flat, like आज का जो wicket था flat, I would go with Siraj, Shami, Bumrah, all three top guns, because you need to pick wickets in the middle overs as well. So I think Shami को तुम वहां पे अच्छे से utilize कर सकते हो. शार्दुल को आज बहुत मार पड़ी. So you can't, if it's a flat wicket, you don't need to have like 8 batsmen. You're getting me? Like even if it's 7 batsmen, I think you'll be fine with it. Flat deck है तो I trust our top 5 to control the game. तो तब हम तीनों प्रीमियम फास्ट बॉलर जा सकते हैं. बट अगर थोड़ा सा समझो स्पिन फ्रेंडली है तो फिर अश्विन आ गया. थोड़ा पेस फ्रेंडली ज्यादा तो अब शार्दुल को लेके आ गए. सिराज को रेस्ट दे दिया या शामी को रेस्ट दे दिया. तो आई थिंक ऑल द हमारे जो भी 15 प्लेयर हैं सबको आई थिंक चांस मिलेगा खेलने का. इवन सूर्य कुमार विल हैव अ क्रैक एट नंबर 5. अय्यर if he remains in the squad, even he will play, because it's a long tournament. We have to play 10 games. We can't forget that. So and उनको रेस्ट भी मिलेगी बीच में. तो there won't be a perfect set of combination that यही हमारी टीम होगी, यही खेलेंगे. I think even Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli might even rest. Virat won't rest, but even Rohit at some point, even he might rest, or Hardik might rest. यार वो बंदे को बैटिंग बॉलिंग दोनों करनी है. To avoid his workload, he will have to rest. Then you have to have Shardul Thakur in the 11, because वो bowling भी batting आपको like to like replace है. तो
Yeah, but I think, no, that's fair enough. But I'm talking about crunch games, right? For crunch games, what's your ideal combination? Because the challenge I have is sometimes in Indian condition, like flat trajectory bowlers like Jadeja and Akshay, they go for a lot of runs, right? Like in the past, you saw them not giving that control. Like Kuldeep will have a great game on a pad, but I think I've seen the likes of Jadeja and Akshay consistently go for a lot of runs, not having that impact as bowlers. And the fact that we have so much talent, in India, I think we haven't picked enough. That Chahal isn't there. I would love to have a Kuldeep Chahal combo.
Yeah, I think I'd be surprised if Kuldeep Chahal combo ever happens again. But I'm quite surprised about that, because they were a really deadly duo. It was a lovely combo for the short amount of time that we had them both, but rarely have they both picked at the same time. And so it'll be interesting to see if that ever happens again. But in terms of bowling, I myself would think more so to give Shardul a chance in the play against teams like Netherlands or Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and for teams like Australia, England, New Zealand, for them I would probably pick Pandya to bowl those extra overs. But then also depends on Pandya's fitness. That's one good thing. One biggest thing about KL and obviously Kohli. Doesn't even need to mention because of how great his fitness is. KL batted 100 runs not only of himself but with Kohli as well. So he basically ran maybe 140, 150 runs. So I think KL is probably one player that will play every single game this World Cup, which is a good thing. We need players that that do. It's good to have them rest, but it'll be ideal if they don't need rest. Become more reliable. But for rest, I still think Shardul is probably. I myself would give Shardul chances against not the best teams, just because I've seen him bowl a lot. He has that ball every once in a while where he will get a wicket. I don't know how he does it, but he ends up getting a wicket somehow, either by bowling or by being on the field. Something happens, Lord Shardul, for a reason. But besides that, for the rest of his balls, he struggles to keep it exactly where he wants to. He will give those terrible balls, like a short ball exactly when you don't need one, or a ball way outside off to someone who's very strong on the offside. So I think for that unreliability, I feel he'll probably play against smaller teams.
I think Shardul has a knack of picking big wickets. Like वो आएगा, वो Labuschagne का wicket ले लेगा, who might be scoring at a good pace. Steve Smith का ले लेगा, Joss Butler को out कर देगा. Like वो ले लेता है wicket. I know he's expensive, but if you're getting those couple of main wickets, I think that's okay for me. Even if you're bowling 8 overs and you're going for like 50, 60 runs, but you have like 3 wickets, that's okay, but क्योंकि उसका रोल ही वही है, like you won't expect him to be economical, like 3 का, और फिर उसके बाद वो विकेट भी ले रहा है, but I think he is a genuine wicket taker. मेरे को भी पहले लगता था कि वो फ्लूक है, but I've been following him since like past 3 years. वो जब भी आता है विकेट ले लेता है, उसका है वो knack, like he comes in, there's something about him, like a man with a golden arm, you can say. वो आता है विकेट, अभी विकेट नहीं मिल रही, 100 रन हो गए, वो आएगा विकेट ले लेगा, कैसे भी वो शॉर्ट पिच एज लग गई, हिट विकेट हो गया, कुछ भी हो जाता है उसके साथ. सो बट हाँ, फिर आई थिंक दैट्स आल्सो अनदर थिंग, राइट? अगर जैसे शामी, बुमराह, सिराज, इफ यू आर प्लेइंग दोस 3 एंड यू हैव टू हैव कुलदीप, तो हमारे 4 बैट्समैन तो ना के बराबर ही है. सो आई आई डोंट थिंक मैं अपना 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 ऐसे रखूंगा. अगर कुलदीप को खेलना है तो फिर आई हैव टू सैक्रिफाइस one of like Siraj, Bumrah या Shami to have Shardul or Ashwin in the team, or Akshar Patel in the team, cause नहीं तो अपना 6 डाउन 5 डाउन के बाद तो गेम ही खत्म.
And
ऊपर कोलैप्स हुआ तो फिर कौन खेलेगा?
कोलैप्स तो होगा ही. It's a matter of कौन से गेम में.
हाँ,
जल्दी हो जाए.
हाँ, होपफुली पहले
मुझे
2
लगा-
मैचेस हो जाए ताकि वो खत्म हो जाए हमारा कोलैप्स.
हाँ.
बट
पहले 2 नहीं भाई, पहला तो ऑस्ट्रेलिया के साथ है 8 अक्टूबर, पहला आई थिंक फर्स्ट गेम हो तो नेदरलैंड्स के साथ हो, लास्ट मैच बांग्लादेश के साथ हो, कोलैप्स, क्योंकि
हाँ,
तब बॉलिंग तो संभाल लेगी.
that's true.
ऑस्ट्रेलिया तो लाइक दे विल पनिश यू वहां पे अगर कुछ गड़बड़ कर दी तो.
What about Kuldeep, right? Like Kuldeep had a bad time a couple of years ago. He's come back strong. What has he changed? आपने कुछ देखा कि कुछ तो बदला होगा उसने?
आई थिंक कमेंटेटर्स वगैरह बहुत डिस्कस कर रहे थे. मैं एशिया कप में जब मैच देख रहा था तो दे वर लाइक कि उसका जो आर्म जो स्पीड है वो काफी बढ़ गया है, और उसका जो, जैसे आप देखते हो लेग स्पिन, आप जैसे चाइना में वो लेग स्पिन डाल रहा है, तो वो हाथ उसका ना पहले बहुत बाहर जाता था, तो वेट यूज्ड टू बी डिसबैलेंस, तो उसकी वजह से उसको वो फ्लाइट नहीं मिलती थी, वो पेस नहीं मिलती थी. आई डोंट नो उसके साथ उसने किसके साथ काम किया, रिकी पॉन्टिंग और व्हाट, लाइक उसका कोच, लाइक वी हैव टू गिव इट टू हिम, लाइक वो अभी क्या करता है, उसका हाथ क्लोज टू बॉडी रहता है और वो ज्यादा रिप कर रहा है, उससे उसकी बॉल टर्न भी ज्यादा मिल रही है उसको, जब उसको फ्लाइट चाहिए वो फ्लाइट भी जा रही है और वो ट्रैवल भी क्विकली कर रही है, तो वो बैट्समैन को उतना कम टाइम मिल रहा है उसको खेलने का. तो ऑब्वियसली उसने कुछ तो चेंजेस किए हैं उसके एक्शन पे, उसके रिदम पे, तो विच इज वर्किंग आउट फॉर हिम एंड फॉर टीम इंडिया. मैन ऑफ द टूर्नामेंट इन एशिया कप डिजर्विंगली. पाकिस्तान के साथ उसने उसने खाली कर दिया था उनका स्क्वाड टीम. तो या ही इज, आई थिंक वो he could be the highest wicket taker in the tournament, like very serious option contender.
Is it fair that Chahal is not even in the squad? He's bowling well.
I mean, like as long as like I mean I
Batting नहीं
back the decision of not having him in the squad, क्योंकि आप नहीं खिला पाते चाहल, और अभी वो टाइम चला गया अपना चाहल और कुलदीप को खिलाने का, लाइक वो स्टेबिलिटी नहीं मिलती हमें बैटिंग अभी. Like if you see all the squads, like they have to drop someone. England had to make way for Harry Brooks now to drop Jason Roy. So you have to sacrifice someone. You can't take all of them ना, सबको साथ लेके नहीं चल सकते. तो अगर आप चाहल और कुलदीप को लेके जा रहे हो तो आप बैटिंग में आपको, that means you have to sacrifice someone. But considering like collapse तो होगा, तो it's better if you have 320 runs on the board and you have like 5 like straight bowlers कि भाई आपको 10-10 ओवर डालने हैं. I think it's fair rather than having like 200 on the board and you're asking like your 6 bowlers now you go and defend. I think yeah, so I'm okay with it. Chahal not playing, and obviously Chahal ने बहुत टाइम से 50 overs खेला नहीं है. He's a good T20 bowler. He should have played last World Cup, T20 World Cup, but 50 overs, that's okay.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast and see you all in the next episode. Goodbye.